Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Today we are at a different time than usual. It's 7:33 in Japan in the morning. This means it's evening in America, it's morning in Australia, and it's close to midnight in Europe. So hopefully by that a new audience can join. And as always, John H. is here from Australia. Just past midnight. Oh my God. All right, let me get into the topic, and then, as always, and for those that are new, usually then we get into discussion. So usually I talk about the topic of the stream. Today it is living the dream in Japan, and then we just go wherever the conversation takes us. So living the dream in Japan. Japan is the dream for many, especially people that have not lived here. Sounds a little bit rough. And let's talk about it. So when I came here first in 2009 as a tourist, it was a fantastic experience. Everybody's polite, everything is new. There's so much to explore. I was not hooked, but I made the decision to start studying Japanese. I didn't, but the intention was there just by going here for 2 weeks and a bit. It was fantastic. Then also in 2014, I came again. This was 2009. Then 2014, I came again the second time. Then 2 times more in 2015. And the second time in 2015 was in summer. And I took my wife with me to Germany. So we had a lot of, maybe let's call it Sobetskai. So essentially partying events with the friends, with the co-workers and so on. So I went there too. And I was welcomed. It was unbelievable. I did nothing, and they said, "Wow, kakkoi!" Like it's so cool, or it's so good looking what you're doing. So, I felt like, wow, yes, I'm totally welcome here. I'm for whatever reason they think I'm great. I disagree, but it is a great feeling, and that's what I felt it was. So I was in Japan. That was special. And this is what many people will feel, may feel when they come to Japan. They stand out. Obviously, if they're Caucasian or something, then they will stand out even more. And people will say, "Wow, you're so cool, you're so special, you're different," and so on. And essentially, they feel like they're a celebrity or something. And even more so if they're in the countryside, like I am now. And I was back then when I first came here. However, this may not last forever. This will not last forever. So once you come here, things might change, especially because, one, you start working. So you're not a tourist anymore. You have to bring in money. And for many people, it's the first time they work here. For example, as an English teacher, ALT, for example, assistant language teacher with some of the programs, JET, for example. They come here right after university and start teaching. And of course, teaching means you don't have that much time anymore to explore Japan. Teaching also means you may not be in a group of people you can relate to. You may be with other teachers and students. And it also means your life is focusing a lot on the needs of others, namely, again, your school, your students. And that's a different thing. So then it already is a little bit different. And then this first time feeling of you're special, everybody's like, wow, you're so cool and so on, changes. Like this tatemae, this front face, this perfect image of Japan turns out to be just that. It's like a facade. And on the back is something different. It's like normal people, normal life, normal society with problems, with beautiful sides, with not so beautiful sides. And this comes up, and this may be tough for some people. And then they start thinking, like, Japan isn't that great. I was lied to, maybe even, not explicitly, but this feeling may grow. And then all of a sudden, they feel kind of lonely. They don't really understand maybe the language still, don't understand the culture. What's even harder to learn, because you can't easily study culture from a book. I mean, you can read on it, but usually on language, there's more written. It's clearer. There's grammar. There's a set of vocabulary. There's pronunciation rules. But for culture, even though it's also rules, it may be harder to get used to. And it may be harder to get practice, because people may not expect you to know the culture, and therefore you may not be in the environment you would need to come closer to what a Japanese person knows. And then you're lonely, isolated, you feel not welcome, not in a group, and it gets hard. And I frankly must say, it was kind of similar for me, maybe even more so, because I did not work a regular job back when I came here. So I didn't even have this social environment of a job. I worked as a freelancer still from home. And of course, then essentially the most interactions I had were with my wife and my wife's family, and then if I go shopping or something. But, thankfully I've gotten through it. I think now it's kind of okay. But is Japan now the dream? It totally depends, obviously. Obviously, it depends on what your dream is. And in my case, when I have hardships in Japan, usually that's not because I'm in Japan. That's just because life happens, Things change a lot. So sometimes often people feel like it's always the grass on the other side of the road is always greener, or of the lawn, or of the neighbor's garden is always nicer, and so on. But once they get there and purchased the neighbor's garden, it's actually not. So I like going to Germany, for example, now a lot. It's fantastic. My family is there, my friends. I never stop missing them. And I don't have to work when I get there. I'm a tourist now, so I have this tourist effect of my home country. And then, of course, it feels great. It's fantastic. But would I move there? Of course, problems would also move with me. And, family moves with me. My family requires attention and time. So a little bit of my self-time will still always be devoted to them, rightfully so. I would have to work, probably. And this also requires a lot of time, albeit I might have a couple more holidays. And that's the bottom line. So essentially, you're responsible for your dream wherever you are. And if that's in Japan or not, it's totally up to you. And Japan is fantastic. It's a fantastic country, but so are many others. And Japan will not solve your solutions. Only you can do that. And of course, only I can solve mine. And that's the end of the intro. And now let's get into the discussion, and let me read your messages. Thank you for listening. Just Past Midnight says, Hey Bulba. Oh, you like Star Wars? No, that's Sebulba. Oh, sorry. Hey Bulba. Sorry. Past Midnight, Jacob. Hi, good to have you here. And Yazas, also good to have you here. And I hope your wish to come to Japan one day may become true. Benjamin is tired. Yeah, it's close to midnight in Germany. Japanese have a saying, read the air. You have to read the intent of the sentence, not what is being said. Wow, you really like the rock music, means you are being a disturbance. Turn it down. Kuki yomeru. To read the air. Yeah, yes. Being able to read the air. So, yes, Benjamin can stay that long. Yeah, absolutely. So reading the air is a big thing. And usually then I say, yeah, I can't read the air. I'm having a little bit of breakfast while I'm talking. I hope you don't mind. Also, got this from my sister-in-law. Today I'm having tea. So Demiran is turning in just before going to bed. Demiran, thank you for being here. And I hope we will have a great stream. 15 people already. So yeah, I usually say, I can't read the air. And any Japanese person ever will say, yeah, neither can I. But still, there's a little bit of a difference on the level of illiteracy there, I think. Sometimes I can, often I can't. And often I have a really hard time. And sometimes this can be really tough. Because people expect you to understand a certain thing, obviously, but I don't. And this is especially tough if the other person is your wife or your boss. And then you might say, yeah, why are they expecting that? They can't, right? But of course they can, because in the same way you may initially not even be aware that something like this may exist. They may not be aware that you are not aware, right? So it's just something that is culturally so fundamental, but still absolutely not existing in other cultures, that it's just nobody's telling you. I mean, Kukyo Yomeru is maybe even like, that's a thing that most people kind of get after some time, but yeah, other things not. What area of Japan do you live in? I live in Nagano City. That's in Nagano Prefecture, in kind of the middle of Japan. So Japan's main island, Honshu, is the biggest one. There's Tokyo at the Pacific side, and then if you go more into the middle of the island, there's Nagano. And it's not sea-bound, so neither on the Pacific side nor Sea of Japan side. So there's not so much fish and so on. Has a lot of good rice, and this means there's also a lot of good sake. In case you're wondering. Aun's breathing. I don't know what aun's means. It means aun, breathing. Does anyone in Japan ever say what they mean? Yeah, of course. Maybe not if you just met them, except if they are drunk, maybe. But even then, they may not. But yes, definitely. Especially, I mean, if you get closer, thankfully I do. So, and some people even in my job do, and I'm really thankful for that. If they say, like, hey, in Japan we don't do like that. Because often they just don't tell you because you're not Japanese, right? So how could you expect it to know, and why would they mind investing into you if you're going away after a couple of years? So if somebody really tells me, in Japan we don't do that, at first I may not get it, and at first I may be like, yeah, it's okay. But in German, but I do like this because. But hopefully after some while, I will understand that this is like something that's worth thinking about, because this person just told me, and there must be a reason. And then, of course, like especially if you're in a relationship, hopefully sooner or later it happens. This can cause problems, though, especially even for me. So let's say, hypothetically, I hope I pronounce it right, some sales guy comes to your company from a foreign company, offers a product, and you say, thank you for your presentation, or so. Maybe you have a talk to them, and then they ask you, so what do you think? And you say, yeah, well, we are considering this. We have a couple of concerns here. So they answer to your concerns and so on. Of course, they try to make it as good as they can and make you feel safe. And then this continues maybe a little bit, and then after some time they say, hey, how's it going? Should we move forward with a contract? And we say, no, actually, we think this is not a suitable solution for us at the time. And then they are like, what? But all the signals you sent me essentially were like positive, and I thought we would make a deal. And that's like, no, actually not. And you didn't read the air. Of course they didn't. But this may happen. Absolutely. So even then, people that lived here for some time, they are like in a state where they stop being able to properly communicate with their natives, essentially, with their home country people, with their cultural background people, and are in this between state where they can do neither. Same for me, also language-wise. So now I'm forgetting more and more German, or it gets harder sometimes when I'm writing. I'm like, wait, what is this correct grammar? And actually, and also my English gets simpler, because usually the English level is not so high in Japan. So I try to make it simple. Then, of course, if you don't use it, you lose it. So the complicated words go away. And my Japanese is also not on that level. So I'm like, I'm degrading. If you want people to tell you what they really mean, try Finland. I see. You're from Finland then, maybe? Yeah, or France. Maybe not. Maybe also German. I think Germans are also quite direct. And this has caused me some trouble here. Because professionally, I'm obviously also direct, and I don't like being inefficient. So that's what I do. I'm direct as much as I can, especially when it's with people that are working with me on the same level, or we try to achieve the same goal. So it's not some executive or so on I try to please. And accordingly, I try to be direct, but with Japanese people, sometimes this can be a little bit rough. Yeah. And then professionally, you only hear the honest truth during bureko. Like impolite talk or something. Then it will be forgiven as drunk talk. Yeah, I heard that during Nomikai and so on. But personally, I have almost never seen it, just once or twice. And it was like that. It was like, yeah, okay. But maybe my company is not the archetypical Japanese company. Benjamin will go to sleep. Have a nice sleep. Rest well. Schlaf gut. Und träum was Schönes. What is your favorite food that is specific to Japan? It's a tough one. Obviously, Wagyu comes to mind, so it's really out of the ordinary. But also, I don't have it a lot. Maybe once a year or so. So it's it's great. It's so different from what you would expect from meat. That's great. And then I do like eating sushi a lot, although recently, obviously, because of Corona, I don't. But then it would usually be the cheaper one, especially in Nagano, because, as I mentioned, it's not connected to the sea. So usually the sushi you get is kind of not the highest level, because it takes some time for the fish to come here and so on. Or asterisk there, I didn't find it yet. The good sushi place. Bureko shiteru no kana? Well, no. I mean, I didn't know the word until now. And as I mentioned, so my company may not be the archetypical Japanese. So it's like maybe in my departments, maybe 60% foreigners. So this may not exactly happen the way it's expected. And that being said, there hasn't been a nomikai, so it's essentially a going out to drink situation with the team in a year or so, because obviously it's not the time to do that. Will it be okay to come to Japan in this Corona situation? I think you cannot come here, actually, if you're not a resident right now. So apart from if it's okay or not, which may be something you have to answer to yourself. I have to ask the question, maybe not. But I think it's not, you can't essentially come here. They will not let you in if you're not a resident, I think, right now. I mean, maybe there's some countries that are exceptions. My weird favorite food is rice at every meal. I get that. I like also rice. Nihongo mayu yo ganbatte. Yes, thank you. Rice at every meal. So this happens, obviously, especially if you're like in a Japanese family or so, as we are, right, Aminox. And that being said, today my breakfast, speaking of it, is just a bowl of fruits, as it's always, and some bread. This is raisin pan, so bread with raisins. It also has butter inside, which is salty, funny enough, because at least in my background, there's no salty butter in Germany. And then when I go to, for example, when I first went to a hotel in England, there was salty butter at the breakfast table, and I was so surprised. In Japan, a lot of salt is butty, a lot of butter is salty, and this is an issue right now, because especially in Tokyo, sorry, for those who don't know, I used to live in Yokohama until October. Then we moved here. And in Kanto, it's much harder now to get unsalted butter, because I think during Corona, a lot of people started cooking and baking and so on at home. So they need unsalted butter. And then for me, who's using that exclusively, also for cooking and so on, it was really hard. And sometimes it was, oh, they have butter. Yeah, I get one. And celebration. But here in central Japan, it's almost always stocked. So it's nice. And with that being said, let me have a chunk of my breakfast. It's bananas, apple, 1 banana, half an apple, and 2 strawberries, in case you're wondering. Some of my friends go there in this Corona situation, but they can't find jobs. Oh, interesting. Monzurul Hassan. Interesting. I know it's definitely harder now. I think a couple of companies stopped hiring internationally for most countries because they cannot get the people to the country now. So it's generally a tough situation, especially for IT and so on, where Japan is more and more relying, or not necessarily relying, but extending towards recruiting internationally, looking at, for example, India, China, and so on. So yeah, I can see that, even though they're here. So that being said, I know it's definitely possible. Generally, Corona aside, it's possible to come to Japan as a tourist and find a job and stay here, although not encouraged. So I don't encourage you. It may not work, obviously, but I know at least one person who did it. I miss proper Nordic sourdough rye bread. Yes, rye bread. So I found a great bakery in Tokyo. It's called Bio-Bäckerei Schomacker. It's already here. It's a German name. And the guy running it, he studied baking essentially at a Bio-Bäckerei Schomacker in Germany. So what he's doing is very authentic, and it's even bio, which is the word for nandake. Or was that organic in German? So it has very, very, very nice organic German bread. However, I found it like 2 weeks before moving to Nagano. So there we have the disaster. And in Nagano Prefecture, there's one German bakery, and it's in Matsumoto. That's like 1 hour or 2 from here. I think 120 or so by train. So, and it's also not close to any train station, I think, if I remember correctly. And I've been there only once, and it was closed because of some event. So what I'm doing now, or what I did is, I ordered from the one in Tokyo, and they send it here. This means I have to purchase a lot, really a lot. It comes here, I cut it, and then I freeze it. So it kind of degrades the experience a bit, and only the first loaf of bread is really, really great, and after that it's still good, much better than, for example, this would be for when looking at a German experience. But bottom line is, yes, I'm missing bread, and rye bread especially as well. Have a good stream, and props to wake up this early on Saturday. Time to go to bed here, okay, Alexa mate? Have a good night. Is it cold in Japan? Yeah, kind of cold. Let me see. How cold it is today. So Nagano especially, it's -3 now, Celsius. What's that? Around 40 something, 40-ish Fahrenheit, maybe. Yeah, so and it should go up to 10 today. Sunny day. So actually, let's look outside. You see that, how bright it is outside. I just closed the curtain to have some control over the light. Yeah, it will be a nice day outside. Nice, cool day. And Tokyo is probably warmer. Let me check for Yokohama. It's 5 degrees now. Will go up to 13. Is the snow on the ground at the moment? Absolutely not. Let me check the mountains. It's too misty to see. Maybe but I think there are some smaller ones over there, and I think no, but maybe the taller ones probably. So it's very interesting. You always see the snow line where it is on the mountain, and then sometimes it stops just before the valley where Nagano City is in, and yeah. Matsumoto ni tomodachi iru yo. Ine. I don't have any. So this person has friends in Matsumoto. Pikyo. I don't. I think maybe CDI. So people I know, or at least my wife knows. Talking about bakeries, but I love Matsumoto, by the way. And again, I've been there only twice or so. So it's this situation where I'm like, yeah, it's much better in Matsumoto because I've been there only twice. But I love it. I mean, I also like the castle. I went there the last time in late 2019, so essentially just before all of this Corona stuff happened, when my mom came visiting. It was super cold already, not snowing yet. And we went to the castle because there's Matsumoto Castle, for those who don't know. It's one of the last, I think they're like 12 or 20 or so, maybe 12 castles that are still in their original state, when they like not a concrete building looking like a castle, but an actual castle. Obviously, it's like being kept in shape, but it's still like this wooden structure it was back in the day. And we went. It's, I think, in Japan's top 3 castle list, and maybe I think number 2 after Himeji, maybe. And number 3 maybe Kumamoto Castle. So we went there, and then some old guy came and asked us if he could be our guide for free. So this happened, and he was. It was great. Even gave us some warm socks. I think he only had one pair, so my mom got them, or like slippers or something, because it's cold in the castle and you have to take off your shoes. And yeah, he was very knowledgeable, and he actually came quite far, like 40-50 minutes driving there just to get to show tourists the castle for free. So pretty nice. And that was one experience in Matsumoto in winter. And another one was in April, I think, when there was cherry blossom just opening. So it's a little later in this area because it's colder than, for example, Tokyo, but maybe in March. Talking about bakeries, there was a weird bakery in Shinjuku Station. The name was Scandinavian Natural Roman Best Bread Scandinavian Natural Roman Best Bread Message, and the plastic bag had text about how make their bread great. How to make their bread great, maybe? Okay, interesting. Yeah, but I mean, funny English messages happen. Have other members of your family visited apart from your mother? No, unfortunately not. So we thought about it, of course, and so on, but also need to think about feasibility. One, for my father's work, so it's hard for him to be away for too long, and also because my younger siblings are, and the older one is 19, the younger one is 16. So 2019, they were respectively 18, 17. Right? She will turn 18 and 15. No, wait. No, the younger one is 15. So 14 and 18 back then. So still going to school. So it's a little hard. And they didn't come. Also expensive, super expensive. Especially if you take a direct flight. If you take like a detour through Moscow or Beijing or something, we'll get much cheaper, most likely. Tomte equals the helpers of Santa Claus, I guess. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that they had this name. I just know Tomte from a book, a Swedish book, a children's book from a Swedish author called Tomte Tummetott, who is like a dwarf or something, who's secretly watching over humans. Yeah, in winter, in that case. And I loved it as a child, and now I read it to my children. I think it's kind of not extraordinary, but yeah. Up so late? No, so early actually. So early. It's 8:03 now. Yes, exactly. You realized it. It's morning already. Already morning. Yeah. So I actually slept and got up. Although I must say I got to bed way too late, like an amateur. Everywhere except Kyoto is cheaper than Tokyo, I think. Yeah, that was the question. Is Nagano cheaper than Tokyo, Osaka? I think so. Yes, especially rent. I don't know about Osaka rent. I guess it's probably cheaper, as Elminox said, than Tokyo. But Nagano is cheaper, definitely. So we pay a little less, and then we paid in Yokohama, which is not Tokyo. It's like a suburb almost, you could say, but essentially, realistically, nothing changes when you go from Tokyo to Yokohama. Not like there's like some free land in between. It's just city all the way. And where we were, it was not super close to station. 15 minutes by walking. It was nice building. I mean, kind of new, like 2-3 years before when we moved in. So kind of new. Looked very nice. Was funny. It has like palm trees and dolphins on the building and so on. Maybe I can show you in a video one day. Yeah, it was like 140,000 yen, which is $1,400. It's kind of pricey for how far it was away from the station. And now we pay 140,000 yen, and now we pay 120,000, like $1,200, and it have almost twice the space. Yeah, so it's cheaper, especially for rent, but probably also for general cost of living, like this stuff, food. Josivadas asks, Struwwelpeter. No. Struwwelpeter. So Struwwelpeter is, I think, early 20th century German educational book for kids, which is terrible. It's terrible. It's politically wrong on all areas, and it's essentially traumatizing your kids into behaving well. So, and even it's so popular, or it was so popular, that a couple of words from the book got into normal German language, like Hans Guck in die Luft and so on, or Zappelphilipp. And it's terrible sometimes. So it's like, don't suck your thumbs, the mom says to the kid named Konrad. Be nice when I go out, don't suck your thumbs, because if you do, the tailor will come and cut off your thumbs. And that's exactly what happens. So she's out, he's like, whoop, and then the tailor comes with big scissor and cuts off his thumbs. And when the mom comes back, he looks sad because the thumbs are gone. And that's how they thought it would be right to educate the kids. Other times, I guess. And also like super politically incorrect when it comes to like dealing with colored people and so on. Like they make fun. Somebody makes fun of the kid because he's colored. So then the big Nicholas, probably Santa Claus like person, takes the kids and pulls them into ink, and now you're even blacker than the other person. It's like, what? And there you go for doing it. It's like, what? So looking at from today, it's terrible, but it was very, very popular, and I also found it in my grandparents' house, so I know it. And it's not that book. No, it's Tomte Tummetott from Astrid Lindgren. So she was a very, very popular children book author from Sweden. Pippi Longström, I think maybe is the English name. Longstrump, something like that, is maybe one of her most popular characters. I wish you a good day. It is too late here. That's unfortunate. Have to go to bed now. Okay, Chilly Cat, have a nice night. Good night. Sleep well. All that. Nice dreams. Maybe I will be catching during the daytime here one day. Okay. When is daytime? I mean, maybe you're in Europe, then I know. Okay. And all German children's stories were horror stories. Yes. Even the like the fairy tales and so on. It's like they are terrible. Wow, thank you so much. 34334, $5. Thank you for the great comment. Don't have much, but here's some coffee money, my man. Thank you so much. I'm not having coffee now, but tea. So cheers to you. German children's stories were horror stories, absolutely. So even the fairy tales. I mean, now you hear you still hear them, right? You have like a lot of this Brothers Grimm, if they may tell you something like Snow White and so on. It's all coming from, not from them, but they kind of took a lot of these fairy tales and wrote them down in one place, maybe. I don't know if it was one place, but they wrote it. They took them. They essentially collected them, wrote them down, and so they are often credited. And they are also kind of famous, well known in German. In the previous German currency, they were on the 1,000 mark bill, even. And these stories are terrible sometimes. For example, do you know the three pigs thing with the wolf? Sanbiki no Kobuta in Japanese. So usually when you see her story, it's like the wolf comes. So for those who don't know, the three pig kids, and they build houses. The first one, the lazy one, builds a house out of straw. The second one builds one out of wood, and the third one out of concrete. Not concrete, like brick house, brick and mortar. And of course, it takes the longest. But then the wolf comes and he essentially blows away the straw house and wants to eat the oldest brother. And he runs to the second house, which is out of wood. The same happens. In some stories, he can't blow it away, but he rams it to the ground. And they run again to the concrete house, and he can't get in. And then after trying a little bit, he tries to come through the chimney, but they boil water, and he gets in. And then he's like, oh no. That's the common version that is popular now, or maybe you saw it in some old Disney classic or something. But there are other versions, which are the wolf eats the first one, the oldest one, and the second one, and then he comes to the youngest one and goes through the chimney, and then he goes into water and dies, and the youngest one eats the wolf. There you go. There you have kids just take that. And I remember I did, like, death, okay, yeah, that's just something, because you don't have this perception of, oh no, it's something bad or terrible or so. But so maybe they won't get traumatized, but still, it's like, okay. That's a different story, looking at it from an adult perspective. Oh, Ninja Monkey, hey, good evening, morning. It's just about midnight here. Yes, I know. 10 past midnight, I guess. Central European time. GMT plus 2. Aminox says, just think of Santa's helper, Krampus. Oh, it's this kind of guy. I see. Oh, Belznicke. So Krampus, because for those just tuning in, we talked about Tomte, and I didn't know what it is. And now I don't know what Krampus is. So for some reason, in at least southern Germany and Austria, there is Santa San has a helper. And it's not one of those small little green ones. It's essentially like a monster, depending on where you are. It's like a children's nightmare, and there's like... And it's terrifying, and sometimes they really take you and put you into like a what's the word, like a bag, and it's terrifying. And that's totally a way to scare your kids for life. Hello, different games. I always read it different for games, but it's just different games. Hello, good to have you here again. Any idea on the vaccine and what's happening in Japan? I got my jab and getting my second next week. I have no idea. I have not gotten any messages, also not from a company who's usually fast at distributing that. The last time I read, which has been a couple of weeks ago, was the plan. The plan was to start vaccinating this month, focus on like caregivers and maybe elderly people. So not the children, because it's not tested with children. And that's what I know, but I don't know if that's actually realistic, because what I do know is just after that, the person who is in charge of providing the vaccines said to their plan, which was like vaccinate like 70% or so by June or July. He said, wait, folks, you just ordered yesterday. I didn't promise anything. So I don't know if that's actually going to happen the way they think. And I look at vaccination charts, especially in Germany, and I see it's like less than 2% first vaccination and less than 1% completely vaccinated. So I guess it's gonna need some time. And I think throughout Germany, out of 1,000, they have enough vaccinations for 30. So way to go. Gotta love efficient German parenting. Yes, I guess so. But I mean, depends on what you want your children to be when they get old, I guess. We are at nearly 35% here. That's pretty a lot. You mean by here is Gibraltar, I guess? Maybe you just ordered enough for once. I can imagine just some provider said every country gets like 3 million, and they like Gibraltar is like, yes, okay, we take it, and everybody's covered, and all the other countries are like, Israel is over 50%. Also, UK is doing very, very well. Okay, I hope it will have the effect that we all hope it will. I mean, numbers are definitely going down in Japan. They have been like top 7,500 or so a day, and now it's like, I think when I checked yesterday, it was like 3 or so. So it's been like the third wave here is going down a lot, but still it's much more than when we had the first state of emergency and so on. How big a thing is the comments from Yoshiro Mori, the head of the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Game Organizing Committee regarding women in your communities? So this is the first time I'm hearing about it. I know there was something yesterday, and I know he said that he may have to step down because of that. I think that's what I read in the news, but just like on this, because I wasn't able to check it yesterday. Let me quickly see if YouTube shows anything on trending or so. Some news. See? No. It's just the typical Hikakin, Japan's biggest YouTuber and so on. So no. I don't know yet. He has apologized, but thus far refused to step down. I see. Okay, Aminoxus knows even more. But the testing in Japan is really bad, huh? The testing, yeah, I think it's still the same rules. But the rules have never been great. So it was like, even if you have a contact to somebody who was infected, yes, very quickly, and then if you had symptoms for like 3 or 4 days, like high fever, so then you can also get tested. So it's pretty risky, I think. Also, I mean, of course, you're invited to not go to work and outside if you have fever and all that, but still, and they may even test you at your office. But still, I mean, not great. 森のじいさんのせいで日本が恥かいた。Yes, so kind of embarrassing, this guy for Japan. The Olympic guy. I'm not following the Olympics anymore so much because it's like there are definitely more important things right now for me and for the country, I think. But I see why, and they would like to make it work. And but still, I mean, a couple of billion of dollars or healthy people that are not dying, have to make. Of course, ideally they want both, but well. Okay, my wife's just writing me. She's awake. She's not at home right now. That's why I can make this live stream. So let's take a selfie together. Send it to my wife. There you go. I would say hi or something, but obviously it's a little one-sided. You think Japan will open for tourism anytime this year? Maybe in winter, so. But I think realistically, I mean, I think they will do the Olympics. They will let in athletes that are get tested like a lot, at least before the competition and after, and have very limited freedom of movement and are vaccinated, and they will not let in foreign visitors. That's what I think about the Olympics. So this means not so much audience, a lot of Japanese audience, prices will go down probably, but still they make some money back and they get the television money, like 9 billion or something. So it's not a total disaster for them, but of course all this economic boost they were hoping for will go away. That's what I think. And when it comes to tourism, my feeling is not in summer. And definitely not the thing some said April. No, definitely not. So maybe, I think, currently I feel winter might be realistic. But that's just my feeling. So I'm just a guy sitting in a room talking to a camera. So don't take it for like, don't think it will become reality. Yoshiro Modi's Pearl of Wisdom: meetings that involve a lot of women take too long because they talk too much. All right. Yeah, great. This goes hand in hand with was a mayor of Osaka or something who said like men should go do the shopping because women can't decide or something like that. I mean, I guess he's old. I mean, as Pikio said, Ji-san. So it sounds like old guys talking, but if you had like if you make decisions of like for a lot of people, then maybe it's time to think about, your values and so on. If you say like just retire, I'm hoping because I've had the vaccine, they will let me in. Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe that would be the thing going forward. Well, night everyone. It's been a long day. It's time for bed for me. Okay, Ninja Monkey, have a good night. And thank you for joining. Let me continue breakfast for a bit. Pikio is laughing. Do current sport competitions in Japan allow live audiences? Let me think. I think sumo allowed audience. Did they? I don't know, actually. Was they? Yeah, I can't really tell. I think I remember seeing some sumo with limited audience, but I definitely also know a lot of basho that had no audience at all. So I'm totally unsure now and can't answer your question. That's the answer, unfortunately. I would have to Google it, but I mean, right, so can you. By the way, where are you from? So for some people I know, like Ninja Monkey is from Gibraltar. I think Alminox is also living in Japan. But for most I don't. So please let me know. Then I also get a better picture on at which times I should live stream in order to catch some of you. I have never taken a JLPT, so I don't have any JLPT level. Chicago, Illinois, I see. Never been to the US. One day, maybe. At some point, I didn't want to go to the US for some reason. I don't know why exactly, but I just didn't feel compelled to do that. But now I feel like more and more, actually, it has to offer a lot. Like I said in the beginning of the stream, every country is great in its own right, and has its problems, of course, and so is Japan. Are you feeling better? Just watched your short video stating this was the last show. I was sad to see you again. I was sad not to see you again. I'm in USA in Louisiana. Yeah, you need to watch the very long video after that where I explain essentially, because it was the last video in Yokohama. So this disease and so on, this condition is real, but and I'm having limited output now, so I do like one video a month or so, taking it slower. But I'm doing more live streams right now, and feeling better. And we moved from Yokohama to Nagano. So that was the final video of Yokohama. And the next video in Nagano will come out probably next week, most likely. I'm in, USA, Louisiana. Not too far away from Gibraltar. I'm from Portugal. Okay. Portugal. I've never been to Portugal. Can you believe it? Even though it was almost living next door. When are you coming to Australia? I don't know. I've never been. Also, my older sister has been for almost a year work and travel in Australia, and she loved it. And it was like a fantastic experience for her, she said. And she wanted to come back, I think, eventually. Don't know when this will happen, though, because, life and family happens. And I personally don't know. So I would love to at some point. Don't know if I can bring my wife, because I guess one of the images people of Australia have is there are lots of insects, big insects, like big spiders and snakes and so on, and she doesn't like that at all, I think. I don't mind. Thank God I will go back and look for the explanation. All right. And thank you for watching. Finland, and it's cold outside. Yes, I figured Finland, Hebuba. Oh yeah, how cold? Do you have snow and stuff? I think in Germany it's like an up and down, like lots of snow, no snow right now. But that's how it's always been in the recent decade or so. Go to Colorado then. Look one way and there is mountains everywhere. Then turn around and everything is flat. And you should experience how the entire stage shuts down when the Broncos play. Okay, Colorado then. And here it's like, you look this way, there are mountains, and the other way are even bigger mountains. So it's mountains everywhere, because it's in a valley, like surrounded by the Alps, Japanese Alps. You should come to Portugal. Excellent food and weather, but not maybe now. We have the worst number of COVID cases per population size. Oh, no. I hope it will go better. Minus 20 Celsius at the moment, and more snow than usually. Wow, minus 20. I think the coldest here this year was maybe minus 10, 11 or so, but at night, so I essentially don't care. In Germany, we usually have like one of these days a year, I feel, at least, where I'm Munich, and this is my area where I used to live. But must say, compared to Japan, we have proper centralized heating. Here, I run the air condition now, and it's so expensive. You can, I must say, we got a little bit too comfortable maybe. So I'm in this room usually in the evening, and the kids are next door, and it's also heated. So we have a heater connected, not an air condition. And then my wife is downstairs. She likes sewing. And so separate rooms. I'm doing live streams or something, quiet. So heating 3 rooms, and guess how much we paid for electricity last month? And I will tell you. And And while you're guessing, I'm reading your messages a little more. You're pretty safe in the big cities in Australia. Must watch out for killer koalas, maybe. Yeah, I heard of that. They're really fast and hunt you down. Biggest killer animal Australia. Horses. Interesting. You have wild horses there too. I would have thought it are kangaroos or something, or maybe emos. I don't know. Runs. By the way, I made business cards finally. So, in case you're wondering how it looks like, this is the backside. Can't see now. Let me focus here. This is the backside. Japanese Journey on YouTube, and this is the front side. So again, the logo and some contact information. Now focus on me. And I did this because, as I said before, as I'm planning to show more of this area here, I need to get more permissions and so on, go to businesses and so on. And then obviously, if I introduce myself, it's Japan, business card. Cost like $40. They're heavy and kind of okay for a first iteration. Not perfect, but good. And nobody guessed. Biggest, yes, horses. All right. Then nobody guessed. I tell you anyway. Must get a business card holder next. Yes. Just for this channel. Fortunately, I have floor heating inside and it's comfortable, 24 degrees. Nice. So we paid $250 just for electricity last month. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. It's terrible. Terrible. So there's a company building houses here in Nagano. So usually, personally, I feel like, Japanese, if you hear that, this is the wall. This is the wall outside. To the outside, it's like this thick. It's like OSB plates, do you say plates, boards, essentially on two sides. Maybe there's some insulation probably inside, but it's like super thin. It's not super well insulated. And it's, I think this is not a great quality of housing, of building houses, compared to what I'm used to. But there's one company here which only builds in Nagano called Kobo Shinshu, and they make really nice things. But only wood from Nagano Prefecture. And they have this kind of, they're modern, of course, but they have the way the air and so on is utilized is this old style, Maybe Japanese houses that are like this, and then they on the top they have like a little extra, what looks like a mini house, and this is for air circulation. So essentially that it's, you get the hot air through the house in winter and the cold air or the fresh air in summer. And they utilize this a lot more, and they have wooden stoves, which I love, because we had that when I grew up. And I don't know if we will build a house, but I definitely like this company, and I will visit them, hopefully. So I actually contacted them in April already, and they said, yeah, currently because of Corona it's shut down, but after that I can come to one of the model houses and film there. But didn't happen yet. But will happen. I love your videos. Thank you so much. Just crazy. Sending positive energy from Ireland. Ooh, Ireland. Nice. I've also never been there. Always wanted to go there one day. Lots of positive energy back, hopefully. How do you pronounce Johannes in Japanese? Johannes, just like that. So Johannes. You would do maybe. Let me think. To Johannes. Yeah, it's kind of okay how it's pronounced when you just do Johannes. So it's the same. It's not Johannes or Johannes or something. So in German, the J is pronounced as Y. As Y would be pronounced in English. I guess $100 to heat these rooms. No, $250. Yes, Jesus doesn't make sense to get some solar panels. Maybe, yeah. Just put them on the balcony. Would be great to see one of those wood houses. Yes, exactly. I mean, as I said, they're modern. They have a lot of essentially they have a central living room usually, which is open. So like a loft thing. And they're nice. They're nice and beautiful. They have, I think, a nice blend between like usefully modern, but still keeping Japanese roots. So often they have like shoji sliding doors with the paper. Maybe not the most clever thing when you have kids, because who doesn't want to do that. And then they have like the washitsu, the Japanese room with tatami flooring and so on. I want one, at least one. So my dream would be have a really extensive living room with the open kitchen, maybe 2 areas of living room, even that you have like a separate TV section or so, because essentially I'm against showing TV to young children. And then a washitsu, a Japanese room, on the same floor for guests. For example, if my mother-in-law comes over, friends visiting from anywhere. And then second floor for family. Bathroom also on the first floor. That would be my plan. That's also how most of them look like, as you may hopefully soon see. And yeah, we actually looked at them a lot in 2017 when we were still living in Nagano before moving to Yokohama. When we lived in Nagano for the first time before moving to Yokohama, we even visited some real houses, not just model houses. So they do this when they build a new house, then there's like a period of 1 week or so between when the house is finished and the new person moves in, where they show it to potentially interested people. So then you get to see what it would look like realistically on a realistic budget. You can also ask like the ballpark, and usually it's like $200,000 or so, and it's pretty reasonable for what they offer. So I love this company. That's what I want to say. Favorite Japanese invention during winter? Kotatsu. Yes, kotatsu is like usually low table, just a low table, not just a low table. It has a heating thing below, and then you have like a blanket. I'm also using a blanket now. And then you just slip under and you have warm feet. And the later it gets, the more you slip under. Maybe watch TV while doing that, and then at one time, maybe just fall asleep. And in my sister, my mother-in-law's house, it was like that. So she had a kotatsu in her room. So when I would wait for my wife, who was working, and work myself remotely, I would sit there under the kotatsu and work. But now we don't have one. There are even I think proper height desks who have that, but maybe not very popular. I have to leave. Oh no. I hope this will be available later recorded. Thank you for your work. Love your videos. Thank you, Patrick. It will be available for 2 hours, not for 2 hours, for 2 days on the channel, and then I unlist it, but it will be available in the live streams playlist. LDK is not for Johannes, apparently. No, it is. So LDK, so living, dining, kitchen is like combined thing. So living room, big living room, and then connected the kitchen, and then the dining somewhere in between. One thing they also have is doma. Probably that's like doma is like the earthen area or so. So you have the area of the house, and then kind of you have the terrace outside, right? And it extends to the inside a little bit. So essentially you can have like your bicycle, can put it inside and so on, if that makes sense. It will make more sense than if I show you in the video eventually. Anta wa ii hito so ni mieru. Nihon ni kite kurete arigatou. Thank you too. So you look like a good guy. Thank you for coming to Japan. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. Visited Berlin last summer. In Ireland, we lieben Japanese Journey und jeden Tag sehen ich deinem Video. So in Ireland, they love Japanese Journey and he watches my videos every day. My German from 4 years ago is somewhat understandable. I understood. Thank you. Yokohama no TUB のドイツ人と仕事したことあるけど、その人もいい人だったな。TUB ってなんだろう。Do the new houses in Japan have better insulation than the non-existing insulation in the older houses? I think good insulation would also make AC more efficient during summer. It depends. So this house is 10 years old. It has, maybe 11. It has kind of non-existing insulation, but probably still it has some insulation, I think. But so maybe a little better than the old ones, most likely actually. But if you are not in a house or an apartment, apato is a wooden structure, but in a mansion, like a concrete structure, then you have, I would say, usually much better insulation. So we in Yokohama, the cost was much lower than here. It was like $50 a month, even though, so here it is we pay just electricity, and then we pay gas for heating and hot water and so on. But there, hot water was also handled by electricity. So even including that, it was still just $50 or so, maybe 70 in winter when it got like super cold, which it really didn't because it's Yokohama. So there, of course, it's different areas, so it doesn't get as cold. You may not need it so much, but also because how it's insulated, and because essentially you're sandwiched between others. So the left, right, top, down, you have other people. The heat is going up. It was, not that bad. Oh, TÜV. I see. I thought TÜV, but why would they be in Yokohama? I don't know. Technischer Überwachungsverein. Yeah. I see. Thank you for the clarification. And back to the houses, I think they have the expected lifetime is much longer. So I think the older houses, 30, 40 years. That's also where the numbers come from now. So often then after one generation, the house is teared down, it's sold, or it's done again. Like they keep it, but they build a new house and so on. And now the life expectancy of a house might be around 70 years or so. All right, then next one. I'm doing my master's degree in computer science next year, and then hoping to move to Japan to teach English for a while and eventually integrate into Japan by actually working a non-typical foreigner job. Is it difficult to get an IT job without being able to speak Japanese? So it's possible, certainly. I mean, I did it without being on a super high level. But what I would say, well, first about Japanese, it obviously gives you more options. So you have the companies that accept English speakers, but you also have companies that say Japanese is a must. So it gives you more options. Second, what will be even more, in my eyes, what is more important than Japanese, except if you're just on entry level, is experience, obviously. So it may be worth considering, if you don't want to teach English, why not just invest into what you want to do in the future, maybe IT, and looks like IT, and maybe hold it back for a little bit, 2-3 years, get some experience under your belt, then transfer to Japan as a mid-career hire, and do that. Stop the English, because I mean, from a professional perspective, you will just forget a lot. If you don't, I mean, again, if you don't use it, you lose it. TÜV equals, yes, we had that. TÜV war TÜV Rheinland. TÜV war TÜV Rheinland. I see. I'm in a concrete mansion and still freezing my ass off. All right, moments with Nick here. Maybe it's the corner room. I see. But, if it was an apart or so, who knows? Maybe it would be much worse. Gina Espinoza, thank you so much for $4.99. Love your videos. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Highly appreciate it. Now I can buy new tea later. I got this tea. Maybe you can't see this. It's called a Tigerente, a tiger duck, which is like kind of a famous German child author's character. So I bought this. I found this tea in a shop, in a newly opened organic foods shop in Yokohama just before we left, and it cost like $10. Like not one bag, like 10 bags, 20 bags. In Germany, it probably would have been 2, but here was 10. And Missy Deluxe, good to have you here again. Good morning. Rakuten is always hiring engineers, and Japanese language is not required. Their official language is English. That's correct. So a couple of years ago, maybe 10 or so, they had, and can you believe it? They had Englishnization, officially called like that. And I've never worked in Rakuten, but I know people who have. And indeed, it is like essentially many treat it as like the stepping stone into Japan, the gate that lets them in. So Rakuten is always hiring, as Missy Deluxe says. And I mean, why not just give it a try, even as a new joiner? I think I know at least one person who joined from university to Rakuten. So, yeah, might be some. That being said, I mean, not all like the experience. Some, depending on the team, many people say. So you might have a great manager, a great team, and really enjoy it. And others say they just really treat it as a stepping stone, and then maybe after 2 years or so, look for a different opportunity. But in any case, it's a good way to get started. So maybe by that you can then skip the first step with English. It's in Tokyo though. So in, where was that? I don't know. I forgot. Futago Tamagawa, I think. Futago Tamagawa, maybe. Okay, perfect. Thanks for the answer to that IQT question. Greatly appreciated. Can I ask how long you were studying Japanese before you were able to have basic conversation? Not too long, because basic is really basic, you know. So essentially, I think second, not even first Genki book was like, you have like a basic, really basic, as you said, thing, but you can have like also really basic conversations. You can go deep, obviously. You're not skilled in any topic. You have like essentially your what you know is a basic polite level of Japanese, maybe a little. I think by the end of first book you might have, maybe they even teach Keigo already. I don't know. So you have like a very basic Japanese, essentially very limited vocabulary, maybe 500 words or 600 or so, depending on how serious you are about it, if you learn every word in the book, as I did, or not. And you can just quickly, like in a couple of months, you can go to a level where you can speak. It won't be great. And I don't say I recommend speaking this early, because you will, you will essentially facilitate mistakes instead of listening a little bit longer, maybe. But yeah, it's definitely possible, depending on what you want to achieve, to have like a very basic conversational level rather quickly, but you will also reach your limits very quickly. It is important to remember what Johannes said at the beginning. The magic disappears somewhat when you live and work in Japan, and you must be prepared to accept Japanese business culture. Certainly. But I mean, I don't know about Rakuten. It's certainly, as far as I hear, there's certainly a lot of, I mean, there may be a little bit more top-down than you are maybe used to, but also because it's such a comparatively international environment, it may be not the traditional Japanese business culture. So much for Rakuten. Good morning, honey. What was the name of the builder you mentioned earlier? I'm looking to build a new country home in Kanagawa. It's called Kobo Shinshu. But let me check. But as the name says, I think they only do that in. So let me share the URL 1 second. I think they're only available in Shinshu, so in Nagano Prefecture. All right. Genki is approximately equal to N5. I think so. I mean, and N5, I mean, realistically, N5 is nothing, right? So on the big scale of things, it gets progressively more work. The higher, the smaller the number after the N. So N1 is a lot more work than N2, like twice as much maybe, and so on. So N5 is close to nothing, but still you can have basic conversations, like really basic. Germans are smart. Why? I don't think so. I mean, there are smart people and not so smart people generally. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Germans appear to be more efficient because they are more direct or so, or they have no humor, no sense of humor. Maybe that's why. Yeah. Hi, Johannes. Hope all is okay, says Orlando 1A1. With you, a little random, I know, but I was wondering if you'll get to make a video on the beautiful shrine you visited that was surrounded by cherry trees when they blossom. Yeah, maybe. So actually, if you look through my videos way back to 2017, I did a cherry blossom video, and you see it. Tell me if you can spot it. Probably. Maybe. I guess. It's really beautiful. I tell you. Okay, so there's like two scenes where I walk up, and in the end of the video, you actually see the shrine on top, and it's like, surrounded by the beautiful cherry blossoms. And just then, like, a little wind came, and the cherry blossoms flew away, and so on. So it was like perfect timing. Although I just had the predecessor of this phone, and the only way to shoot slow motion was like make it in not HD, like, but 120p. So it was not super crisp. So you see it even in the video, but still very nice. And yeah, I'm considering, I mean, every year there's cherry blossom, and every year I'm considering, okay, it would be super nice to make a video about it. But what should I do? Should I just show cherry blossoms for 10 minutes? So I'm a little bit out of ideas. If you have any, let me know how to embed this into a nice narrative. You visited that. Yes, okay, I already read that. What are the typical work hours per week in Japan? In Ireland, it's 40. In Japan, legally, also it's 40. And then there are some rules, some laws. Usually then, if you may have a certain number of hours in your contract, that are not extra paid, like I think Rakuten might be 20 or 40 or something. And in my job, it actually depends on the grade. So if you have like let's say, so some grades have flex time, which means they get any number of overtime they get paid. I don't. I have essentially total flex time, which means if I get my work done in 1 hour a day, I get it done. And if I get it done in 10 hours a day or in 15, then it's the same, and the payment is the same. So that's the and so legally it's 40, and then there's some legal limitations again. So I think you're not allowed to work more than 100 hours, 100 hours of overtime a month, and there's also a yearly total. And I know the implementation in my company, but I don't know the actual legal regulations correctly. So bottom line is it's 40. Overtime is accepted, and there are legal regulations, but they are not as tight as, for example, in Germany, where you're not allowed essentially to have overtime. Germans understand jokes with punchlines. Japanese humor is almost exclusively puns. This is a part of Japan I never learned the jokes. Yes, I mean, yes. Sometimes I think like, oh my God, this is super entertaining. This guy like thinking he's entertaining an audience, and then just like the floor opens and he falls down. But this is absolutely terribly dangerous. Like he falls down, like he might just just one of his limbs might go in the wrong direction. They'll just stunned, maybe land in a mud or something, and they're stunned, but they just get it and like, oh yeah, okay, I was pranked, Dokkiri or something. Yeah, I also don't always get it. I mean, I get the slapstick and so on, and I think that's also a very a very nice way to communicate comedy to an international audience, where you don't necessarily get the nuances of what they think is funny. But I also don't get it necessarily. Slow motion of cherry blossoms for 30 minutes. Yeah, actually, I was considering doing the same of snow monkeys, but now you say it. You know what I'm thinking? Snow monkeys and cherry blossoms. And yes, black companies, exactly. Secret Japanese word. Black companies, yes. Buraku Kigyo. I go looking, even though I liked a full video of that you mentioned. Even though I liked the full video of that you mentioned. Okay. How about you visit and speak about it from your heart and its emotional impact on you? Oh no. Says Samuel. Yeah, I can do that. And I did a little bit in this one video, essentially. Oh, I thought, well, it's just cherry blossom. Let me have a bite here. So cherry blossom, because in Germany we also have cherry blossom, right? And it's like, yeah, whatever. I mean, what should be the difference? But it is really different, because really everywhere, it turns out all these trees are cherry trees. And it's so beautiful. And then, of course, what's connected to that, like people actually going outside and so on. And we went to the next city, which is Ueda. It has like castle remainders, and had like the classical picnic there with my child, who was like less than a year old back then, and so on. It was great and beautiful and kind of touching. And of course, it's like, topic of many poems. I said it all in the video already. Topic of many poems, like comparing it to life, human life, like it's blossoming and most beautiful in one moment, and then just a very short time after, it's all gone. And after that, spring starts. So something great comes from them leaving. So that's there. And I really don't know if I should just really. I'm not the type of creator who takes this kind of feeling I can formulate in 2 minutes and makes 10 minutes out of it. If that makes sense. Genuinely so glad I randomly saw you were live streaming. I found your content really wholesome, and I'll be honest, I'm a probably rewatch a lot of your videos now. Thank you so much, just crazy. I appreciate that. I've got to go, but hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great day too. So this live stream will be available later, in case you want to rewatch. These wonderful places have a narrative that would be interesting to tap into. Yes, that's true. Certainly. Like Ueda Castle, and there's like a family, the Sanada family, which was like the main lords of this area for quite some time. Also Nagano, and you still see the sign. It's like the old yen coins, which has like a square in the middle, like 6 of them, I think. Was it 6? And these are everywhere, and like covering this story and so would be quite interesting, I think. And I even started some time ago. Or at least I thought about it. And even in Nagano, there's Matsushiro Castle. There's not a lot left. It's just walls, essentially. But again, in the inside, there are cherry trees. It says Matsushiro. Matsu is pine trees. They're also there. There's Matsushiro Castle. There's an old military school from the late, I think, Edo period, like 1850s or so, just before the Meiji restoration started. And that's there. So military school, this clan, castles, a lot of history about this area. And they still have like dojos there, so places where martial arts are trained. So when I went there, I saw like judo practice and so on, like archery, and you also see judo people. I know at least a couple of Iaido practices, seminars are happening there. So there's a lot of history in this direction to cover, certainly. And we could maybe connect it somehow with the cherry blossom, maybe. It is amazing how important cherry blossoming season is in Japan. It is tracked and forecasted in national news broadcast. Yes, it is. It is. And it's great. It's lovely. And then there's also, of course, everybody's favorite event, the YouTube Hanami. So Hanami is essentially going out, having a picnic under cherry trees. Essentially, a lot of people have like the blue plastic sheets, put them on the ground, bring alcohol, maybe a couple of snacks or so, depending if it's a company or adult versus family gathering, I guess, and enjoy, essentially. And also there's always somebody who's organizing a YouTube Hanami. So essentially a lot of YouTubers or people interested in YouTube come there and kind of connect. I've been there once, and it was, I would say, so-so. Not my most favorite event ever. I know it has some history, but and some drama maybe connected to it, but I'm not interested in that. Have you ever considered making a coding channel? Yes, I did actually. So I considered a couple of things. So one thing I'm thinking about, or I need to consider, is what do I do if I one day leave Japan? Because this is Japanese journey, right? So what's gonna happen to this channel then? And also another thing, of course, is monetization. To keep in mind, like which areas that I have where the niche is broader, where maybe there's a wider audience, and where also the level of monetization is higher. And from my skill set and what I'm interested in, one option would be this, YouTube, like how to make YouTube stuff. And another one would be computer science, coding, and so on, specifically my field, which is so where I'm especially knowledgeable in is Android development. However, I don't like teaching to code and then start, Android 101, doing the basics and so on. And then I found another channel. What is his name? I forgot. Wait, let me check that quickly. I think Kalle something. He's Swedish. Kalle Halden, I think. Yes. Let me share the channel. This is the channel. I found this guy, and he's also like obviously very computer science, not science, but coding oriented. But he makes it more fun, like coding a trading bot or something like that. And this would be something I could consider doing outside of this Japan-focused content. But I've never started because it's just currently at my time does not allow it, and my health doesn't allow. Like this would be too stressful. Japanese journey changing to Johannes journey. Logo remains intact. Yes, that's correct. I also considered that actually, but I didn't do it. Also, like if you come here for two things. One is for me, maybe, and the other thing is for Japan. Most people do that because most of my views come from search actually. So some people Google something related to Japan, then they find me, and then imagine you come here, you see that, then you take a look at the newest video, and it's completely different. Not saying necessarily it would be better than starting new, but essentially changing niche will not do the channel well generally compared to how it can do now. That being said, there are no plans to leave Japan now, so it's totally fine. Japanese journey will stay for the foreseeable future. Sorry for eating in front of you. I hope you're also having breakfast or dinner or lunch or anything. By the way, did you change your YouTube thumbnails just because I asked a silly question? I don't know. Which question was it? I may not remember. What are you eating? Looks delicious. This is raisin and bread. So bread, raisin inside. And inside the thing is butter, salted butter. And because I have the air conditioner on, it's getting super dry and like it's not as fluffy anymore as it should be. My tea is almost gone. If the look were intentionally inspired by abroad in Japan. I mean, obviously, I consider that because you were not the only person to say that. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I don't know exactly what the look is, but probably what I would consider it, the look of current Abroad in Japan's thumbnails is obviously Chris Broad is in the picture. I don't do that. Another thing is you have a font that's similar to mine. It's not exactly the same, but can be mistaken for the same. And then you have a red square around it, which I also have often. But making this extra square takes more time. That's why I don't have it actually for live streams. That is. So maybe in the next video, then you will see it again. But no, I take this from a branding perspective. It's good to have to be distinctive, but maybe it's also not bad to be connected to such a great brand as Abroad in Japan. But yeah, so I don't mind being associated with Abroad in Japan. I hope he doesn't neither. Probably doesn't care. And I may change my thumbnails in the future even more because I'm always trying to find the best working thumbnail. And so this time, as you see, I did this, something like that, just to see if it performs better. Because, for example, I liked the last. I took a picture, something like this or something, for the last live stream, but didn't put it in because I felt it didn't fit well. And instead, I just took this small K police car. It didn't perform well. So then I thought, well, then just try it. If I can eat Japanese food, yes. If I do eat Japanese food, not now, but I eat it, yes. パンはドイツの方が美味しいでしょう。Bread is better in Germany, or German's bread is better. Yes, it's correct. I mean, it's what I think. But for example, because it's like darker, heavier, not as not, as fluffy. My wife doesn't like it for some reason. I do. So it's all about preferences. Start doing reactions to his videos. He'll love that. Yes, I know. Finally, non-Japanese people catching up. Actually, though, yesterday I made a reaction video for Patreon. Not sure if I will release it. I made a reaction to video to my first video. So, German living in Japan reacting to how to survive in Japanese toilets. That's a mouthful. But I'm not sure if it will. I just recorded it. I haven't looked at the footage yet. I don't know if it will turn out well. Maybe not. So I'm not sure if I will actually release it to my poor Patreon community. Because I'm also not sure if my reaction was any good. So it felt more like nitpicking the video than actually oh my God, you're so stupid or something. How very meta of you. Yes, thanks. I guess. I mean, it was kind of fun, and it has been a couple of years since I saw this video, because I don't like it a lot. Essentially, a lot of mistakes I wouldn't do now, but also wasn't super bad and still was informative and probably helpful for lots of people, which is why it still gets like 200 views a day or so. So what I always did is this. Do you see that? I always watched at the screen, or sometimes I just did look at this. So there's a flip out screen at the camera. Just watch there. So this would be looking at you, right? But then it's like this. And you see that in the video a lot. And of course, I also don't speak loud enough. So I don't speak to a camera. As if I would speak to a camera, I speak as if I would talk to a person, like with a much more quiet voice, and things like that. Also, autofocus was on, so it was like hunting for focus, or things were out of focus all the time, and so on, and all that. You should honestly aim to guide the channel in the direction you outlined a few streams ago. Was a good plan, I think. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm planning to do. So again, this reaction video, should it ever be released, will not be on the main channel. It will be only to Patreon. So only the couple of people that are there will see that, if somebody ever sees it. Yeah, but the next two videos will be the first one, A Day in My Life, that's close to being finished, will be finished in the next days. And after that, I will do a Q&A. So I announced that a couple of weeks ago, actually. So yeah, that's the plan for next two. Not sure yet how I will do the Q&A. I will storyboard it and see how to make it entertaining. May start here, then go outside somewhere or something to make my point, or just to make it more interesting. And then after that, we will most likely have some Wagyu, aka the best Wagyu you have never heard of. I'm looking forward to that. And then I don't know yet which one comes next of the videos I've planned. Frozen Flame Interactive. What a name. Ever been to Ibaraki? Wondering exactly how rural it is on a scale from 1 to rural. I've been to Ibaraki just recently with a friend of mine, Dave Trippin. We made a video. We went up a mountain called Tsukuba-san. And I also tried to make a video, but unfortunately it didn't turn out. I didn't take enough footage, so it will probably never happen. Some of it will appear somewhere, maybe. It was in autumn, so like beautiful leaves, beautiful colors. So that's gonna happen. Maybe sometime it will be somewhere. And on a scale of 1 to rural, I don't know actually, because I went there, they've picked me up, we went to the mountain. I can really say. Before that, I've been there only once, and it was kind of like Nagano, so I guess like not 1, but also not rural, but somewhere like on the scale from 1 to rural, a little bit to the rural side maybe, but not like it's a village with 100 people. But obviously it depends where you are in Ibaraki. Also, I'm practicing Aikido, which is a Japanese martial art, and there's like in Ibaraki, there's a town called Iwama, and there's the Aiki Shrine. So the founder of Aikido spent a lot of his later life there. So there's some reason to visit there for Aikido people, although I've never been there. But my wife has, of course, she has. Would you ever consider doing a video with your family? No, not with my kids. My wife actually was in one of my videos, but I never released it. How sad is that? So we're driving to a ryokan, and I want to film that, and I filmed her driving, essentially. Couldn't see a lot because she was wearing a mask and sunglasses and a hat. So she would have been there, not really interacting, but like being there. Maybe she did like peace. But unfortunately, the video wasn't great, not the audio especially, so I never made it a reality. And that being said, she will probably help me with the Wagyu video going forward, so maybe we will see her there, or will at least have some comment. And yeah, you may have heard her in 2 of my videos before. One is about Japanese English, Japanglish or English, which was like way back in 2016 or 2017. And then last year's MIA, how to learn learning Japanese with MIA or something, is the title of the video. There you can also hear her say something about my Japanese. Just like it's already kind of okay, good enough. She says perf, good enough. That's what she actually said. So that's the involvement there is, and she doesn't like to do a lot of video stuff. Actually, she studied filmmaking, and through this, she found she doesn't like it. So she might be, maybe you just see her hands or something in the next video, maybe even her face when she says something in one of the upcoming videos. But like, I'm not planning to have a great involvement of my family. My kids, obviously, because of privacy, and essentially if they can decide by themselves they want to, then I don't put them. It's like the opt-in, not out. So even though, of course, for views it would be fantastic, but that's not the point here. Wow, we love Dave's videos too. Sounds nice up there. Thanks for the info. Yeah, Dave did a video. So out of this collaboration, it did absolutely underperformed. It bombed. But if you search Dave Crippen, let me see. He's also from Ibaraki, by the way. So if you take a look at his videos, then that's there. Let me see. When did he publish that? It was 2 months ago, called "Can a Smartphone Beat a Pro Camera?" 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 videos ago. And it did absolutely, yeah, it was bad. It's like less than 1,000 views. So take a look, then watch it again, share it with your friends and all that, and Dave will be happy, hopefully. Your Japanese is perf good enough. Yes, exactly. It's already perf good enough. And I mean, I know it's not perfect, far from that. So take your wife to the shrine and create a video around her and the cherry blossom of the shrine. Yeah, maybe, but I don't know. Like I said, she doesn't like it particularly. And yeah, I could maybe. But then I can see two outcomes. One is I alienate the audience, or they want to see more. Both is a problem. But maybe it's just like, just do it. Probably that's best. By the way, she does not have an interest in video making and so on, but she does have an interest in the money. So whenever I finish a live stream, she asks me how much. And I'm like, I don't know, 500 yen, so $5 or so. And then she laughs, or sometimes nothing and so on. So that's there. She has some kind of interest. Waifu wa Nihonjin. Waifu wa Nihonjin. Yes, my wife is Japanese. So it's already getting early. So now slowly I need to make a plan, talk to my wife again. What we should do with today. Probably I will go visit her. So she's at my mother-in-law's house now, which is like 15 minutes by car from here. So maybe 30 to 20 minutes by bike. About 30 by bike, maybe. So I slowly have to get going. Bless these wonderful women and their questionable taste in men. Yes, my better half also always hides from camera. Yeah, I mean, to each their own. Wow, Frozen Flame again. Not again? Well, who was the other one? Thank you so much. In any case, $3.99. Fantastic. What a day. What a day. She will be amazed, and so am I. Not again. Yes, first time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yes, it's already gone, but thank you. Yes. So continuing my trail of thoughts, I'm slowly calling it a day. So maybe let's do 5 to 10 more minutes. Let me know your final questions if you have any, if you want to say anything, or any suggestions for videos or anything. And then we'll start the day. No problem. Thanks for all the great content. Have a great day. You too, Frozen Flame Interactive. Sounds like a game studio. Let me search you. Email from all players. It's a game, I see. I see. Okay. I have absolutely no clue about games. especially right now. It is. Oh. Is it true that tattoos are still a big issue in Japan? And you're back, Jack. Welcome back. Issue, no, but doesn't particularly make your life easier. Like onsen and so on. That's the classic, I think. You go to an onsen, hot spring, and likelihood is maybe 80% or so that people with tattoos are not allowed. So, unfortunately. But if you do your research, maybe if you go to a ryokan, you ask before if they accept tattoos, and they say yes, and that's it. Then you go there. And if they say no, you don't. You could do a series of videos of some of the amazing castles of Japan. Yeah, true. What size? Thanks for the suggestion. What size keys do you use, and how does the color of the sound taste? What? So, keys. So I'm talking about two keys now. One of the keys of this house is like this. So wait, maybe like this, very thin. That's the key of this house, and I have never tasted it. And my keyboard is normal size, and it's loud because it's mechanical. I mean, you probably can hear that, right? So whenever I type in a meeting, take some notes. Everybody knows I take notes. But still, it's a rather. Its taste is fine. Final question of today. Now I feel guilty because you answer seriously. No worries. No worries. All right. That house key is super sci-fi. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it's nothing electronic and so on. So many have like, for the front door of the house, if it's like an apartment building, they have the kind of chip inside the key, and they do like beep, and then they have a more normal key for the house. Something like that. But yeah, the nice thing is it fits into my wallet. So this is my wallet, and here's the key. That's very nice. Okay. With that being said, one more question, maybe, and then call it a day. Thank you. By the way, if you haven't already, like the video. That's very important. Like the stream. My house key is a piece of metal. Yours is so sci-fi. Yes, however, it's also easy to break. Haven't done it yet, but it's easy to break. Okay, then, since no questions coming, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today. I hope you have a great remainder of the day, wherever it may be. If it may be morning, evening, afternoon. Okay, there's the question. Does your wife's wallet also look like a small handbag due to the vast amount of loyalty cards? Wallet. Yes. Yes, it does. It doesn't have yes, it does. It's like like this thick thing. It's not all cards. It's like kind of organized in there. There are many cards, but not like it's like. It's not unorganized, but there are many cards, and some of them are loyalty cards. Yes, absolutely. Have a good weekend. Moments with Nick. Thank you for joining. Yeah. Have a great day. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.